Welcome back to the recent grad survival guide. This is part 3, and we're going to be going into setting goals and setting up SMART goals in particular. So with that being said, let's get started. So during this pandemic, it is imperative that you set goals for yourself that prioritize your needs and your safety. When setting goals, it's important to think about the long term, the midterm, and the short term. It can be easy to fall into the trap of once I reach this, I can relax or I can be happy. This is a cognitive distortion that conditions your brain to not be happy with yourself and where you are currently at. This also makes it harder to celebrate your successes when they do come. Setting short-term or daily goals are an important way to combat these distortions. Daily goals help to hold yourself accountable each day. They should include anything important to you, such as spending time with family or friends, exercising, and self-care. And this is a little bit about what we went over in part 2, which is the elements of success for recent grads, where it was recommended that you set up 2 to 4 achievable small goals every day. And that can help to fulfill that sense of satisfaction and accomplishment every day, rather than just waiting until one major milestone down the line. So for goals that are more long-term, it can be helpful to follow the SMART goals acronym. This acronym has been widely adopted to meet organizational and personal goals. We'll go more into SMART goals on the next page. And another thing worth mentioning is that setting up goals doesn't necessarily have to apply to just work-related stuff and productivity. It can also be about living a more balanced life, such as setting aside time each day and each week to spend time with family, exercise, and other self-care activities. So with that being said, let's move on to SMART goals. Now, I'm sure you've heard of this before, but let's go over it again. What are SMART goals? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Okay, so let's go into each element of the SMART goal. The first is specific. So it is crucial to go into the details of your goal so that you know where to focus your effort. What will be accomplished? Why is it important? What steps do we need to take to reach the goal? An example of a specific goal is I want to incorporate more healthy food into my diet, and an unspecific goal is I want to be healthy. You see a distinction there? The specific goal gives you more defined information about what you're trying to achieve, and is better, and so that you're better able to track it. And that brings us to our next point, which is measurable. Make sure that your goals can be measured so that you can track your progress and stay motivated. So an example of a measurable goal is I want to go to the gym 4 times a week and exercise for an hour each session. And unmeasurable goals, I want to go to the gym more often. So this is quantifying your goal. This is making it so that you can track what you're doing and be able to revise and adapt as need be. The next is achievable. Your goal should be realistic and attainable. Some people do not meet their goal despite their hard work because of constraints or limits, such as not enough training or experience. So an example of an achievable goal is I want to understand Spanish at an elementary level after taking Spanish 1 this semester. An unachievable goal is I want to develop a master level proficiency of Spanish after taking Spanish 1 this semester. Now, this comes with experience, and it's a common thing to overshoot or underestimate how much time you need to accomplish a goal. But in this case, it's pretty evident that developing a mastery level proficiency in a language after a semester is incredibly unrealistic. And that's why it may take more understanding of the subject you're going into to really grasp what is attainable and what's not. And you may find that after you set a goal and you reach a deadline that you have not achieved it, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. That just means you have to go back and revise and adapt and make it more realistic based on what you have found. Now, the next is relevancy. Your goal should matter to you and align with your values and long-term objectives. An example of a relevant goal is I want to earn 20K per year working part-time as a student, And in irrelevant goals, I don't care how much money I earn as long as it's more than my siblings. And as you can see, the irrelevant goal, the person doesn't really seem to care much about this goal at all. And that's why when you're first planning out your goals, it should meet that criteria of aligning with your values and long-term objectives and clearly defining those. Now, the last one is time bound. It's important that you give your goals a deadline. This will help you stay focused and give yourself something to work towards. An example of a time bound goal is I want to spend the next 6 weeks studying for the GRE and take it on the 7th week. And in non-time bound goals, I want to spend time studying for the GRE and then take it once I'm done studying. So as you can see, this is setting deadlines for you to accomplish the goals by a certain time. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, it's an iterative process. And even if you don't achieve your goal by a certain deadline, that's okay. And you can just revise it and set a more realistic deadline and then see if you meet it then. Okay, so here's some more examples of SMART goals. I want to spend 30 minutes a day studying for the MCAT for the next 6 months. I want to lose 2 pounds by the end of the month. And I want to apply to 10 different law schools by the end of spring. As you can see, these fit every single element of a SMART goal. They're specific, they're measurable. You can track that progress, achievable. They're very realistic to accomplish, relevant to the person's goals, and time bound, as in they set deadlines. For instance, the end of spring, by the end of the month, or the next 6 months. Yeah, and you can try this out for yourself. A great resource over here is the SMART Goals worksheet, and you can click on that and follow that in the activity book. So with that being said, that concludes this part of the recent grad survival guide. You can check out part 4, and thanks for watching.